The monitoring and results measuring system is an integral part of any project, especially important for projects that use the market systems development approach, using adaptive learning by doing approach to implementation. The system supports the project team during planning, designing, managing, reviewing, and evaluation of project interventions in compliance with the market systems development approach and results measurement standards. For this episode, I asked 7 MRM specialists on whether the MRM system serves their project. I asked Jelena Antic, Nadire Selimi, Elene Slashije, Amar Numanovic, Vlora Castrati, Mylinda Upoli, and Admir Malai. I asked them to raise one of the following cards or items with the following colors. Green meant yes, yellow meant yes and no, and red meant no. Let's see what they had to say.
The word monitoring and results measurement tells us in its essence what is it for. It's in first to understand, to observe what is happening with the investments that we make, with interventions that we as a project are implementing. But on the other hand, it also gives us the information about the results that we are achieving. And usually the projects that apply market systems development approach are challenged with limited resources and small teams. Having that in mind, it's extremely important to understand and design the system in a way that gives you credible information on the results that you're achieving. At the same time, we are working in systems where one cannot predict in advance how the change is going to happen. And therefore, measuring the change, understanding the change at the right point of time is also extremely important for the monitoring and results measurement system. Therefore, when we are doing the results measurement, when the change is mostly expected, which means that each intervention is designed individually, and then the monitoring and results measurement system to the intervention is also tailored according to the change that, when it's expected. And that allows you to understand whether the change that was envisaged is taking place. It also gives you an understanding whether the results that you are achieving through this intervention actually keep you on the track with overall results that you are aiming for as a project. It also allows you to make changes if they are needed at a certain point of time, while it's still not too late for the changes to happen. Therefore, we understand that monitoring and results measurement system is extremely important for us as a project to steer, to guide us based on the data that we collect from the field. At the same time, it provides us the basis for accountability to our donor. And it also allows us to learn whether the change has happened, what change has happened, and also look a little bit beyond the concrete interventions that we are implementing. Also to understand what is the change in the business environment, in the economy, how it's affecting the progress of the project, and etc. So I don't think any project can survive without proper monitoring results measurement system, and obviously we are applying it to the best of our capacity and resources.
The Reconomy project aims to address underperforming systems for economic opportunities, better income, and decent jobs in an inclusive and sustained way. The nature of this approach has a significant influence on how project monitors and measures results. Market systems are complex and unpredictable. Interventions to make them more inclusive, efficient, and resilient to external shocks, it's not a matter of a fixed plan. Therefore, the monitoring and results measurement system has to respond rigorously and pragmatically to deal with the complexity. Our MRM system has several interconnected objectives. Firstly, projects are accountable to report to the donor objectively and transparently. MRM system should generate credible information about the results and lessons learned, which can be used for reporting purposes, but also to inform other interested parties. But measuring results must not be perceived only as a simple collection of data on log frame indicators. When we measure results, we look at many performance measures of the systems in which we want to catalyze changes: efficiency and effectiveness, qualitative and quantitative aspects, changes in behaviors and products of such behaviors. We also test the main assumptions underlying the decisions made when the interventions was designed. The data generated from the monitoring and measurement then indicate not only the level of achieved goals and the need to correct deviations, but also the adequacy of selected strategies and actions arising from the strategy. The data are fed back into the intervention management process and used for decision-making, thus directly affecting the improvement of program performance. In other words, the MRM system drives efficiency. In addition to tracking progress made in past, intervention managers use the MRM system for future learning. Managers can assess not only whether results have been achieved in the past, but also whether their expectations for the future are still valid. MRM system ideally enables the organization to accumulate a huge amount of knowledge about the market system, what is working, what is not working, and why. This helps managers to implement continuous improvements and adaptation to increase the effectiveness of program interventions. So monitoring and results measurement is everyone's job. It helps us to ensure that we are on the right track in achieving our goals. It helps us to make better decisions based on evidence. It also supports individual and organizational learning. It combines feedback and feed forward for the achievement of our ultimate goal, and this is better development outcomes.
Well, the short answer is, to the greatest extent, yes. In essence, the goal of the MRM system as a management tool is to serve the project in terms of steering, accountability, and learning. However, we should bear in mind that the MRM system cannot play its role. I mean, it cannot provide outputs if it does not receive the required inputs. For instance, it cannot inform the project how many people have benefited from a particular intervention if it does not have the related data. We cannot also use the MRM system to reflect on learnings if we have not documented well our intervention guides. In the same vein, we cannot use it for steering if we do not update it continuously. It's just like a car. If you do not put fuel in it, you cannot expect it to bring you to your desired destination. In this case, all team members, especially the team leaders, deputy team leaders, intervention managers, are fuel providers. This shows that if we strive to have an MRM system that serves the project, first we should make the project serve the MRM system. This is a joint play. These two things are interdependent. Now, the question may be, when does this become an issue? Definitely when there is little to no value for the invested resources in developing and maintaining the MRM system. Or, as we call it in the MRM jargon, where there is no proper right sizing of the MRM system, and we witness that the investment we make in the system is not later translated into fulfilling its purposes. Also, there may be other obstacles that may appear during the journey. For instance, one of the greatest challenges that we as MRM people face is to measure results of interventions that have effects which are very difficult to be captured. Those are usually interventions related to advocacy, related to communication, capacity development events, or some others. For example, let's say, how would we measure the effects of this inclusive plaque series? We are aware that it may inspire viewers to come up with brilliant ideas, to come up with some excellent insights that may improve dramatically their work or their perspective. But we can never capture this result unless the person behind the other side of the screen shares it with us. So, in general, circumstances like this prove that it is sometimes very difficult to have 100% accurate results or to harvest the results that we generate in a perfect and holistical way. However, this does not mean that we should give up, but rather that we should try hard enough so that we have good enough MRM systems that serve not only to the project, but also beyond it. This requires, of course, teamwork, common understanding of the MRM tools, and their utilization for improving, informing, and steering the project.
Yes, I definitely choose the green one because I really believe that the MRM system is a very important part of our projects, and it is very important for us to better understand the context, to understand the effectiveness of our interventions, and to help us actually to create more effective actions, to have better design, to improve our design or design of our interventions. So yes, definitely, it is not even questionable, in my opinion, that MRM helps us to have better and more effective interventions. But at the same time, why I picked up this one as well is because actually, I really believe that there is a point we often reach where the marginal benefit of each additional unit of effort invested in MRM actually start diminishing, and in that sense actually sometimes we create a lot of different procedures, internal policies, documents and tools that are not that effective because we create them just to have something to demonstrate and to have something in place to say, okay, we are very serious with this, we are able to demonstrate and to prove our results, and we have good procedures to keep, let's say, a good record of everything. But I don't really believe that we need to create a bureaucratic system around that or to imitate scientific approach to research, because we don't have that resources and that capacities internally. So I think that the very important thing is to find a good balance. So that's the reason why I also waved with this yellow card, because sometimes it can actually happen that we work for MRM. So we have to be careful.
Okay, being a part of a project, I'm an MRM officer at the IProject. So as you may know, IProject has quite a long living. It is already in January, it started the third phase. So you can imagine that we are talking about the project which is well established in terms of interventions, partnerships, and the change that it aims to make. So in the case of IProject, I think MRM serves the project. This can be, I can further explain in many angles. So firstly, I think that one of the most important elements of the project is the team. We are talking about the project where the team is, majority of the team is present from the beginning of the project, so from the first phase. Now we are entering the third phase, and there is plenty of tacit knowledge in the project, which also help the MRM system. Secondly, I can say that we have quite a robust system, MRM system, which helps also the management for decision making, and the team, which is well trained and has a good knowledge of MRM. So when we talk about different interventions that we try to make, we have people that know the market very well. We have established partnerships already from the first phase, which we still keep with some of them we keep working. So in order to see that there is some impact on it, and so I think that the MRM is quite robust, and it is well established in the case of IProject. A thing that is relevant to the interview, and maybe it's also important for your audience, is that the majority of the team has attended a training on MRM. So when we have steering, and when we have the different interventions to make, there is a team that has the knowledge of the MRM, and we know what we're talking about. We know what is the aim that we want to change, what is the impact that we want to make, you know. So all this complexity that MRM has in itself, I think that in the case of the I, we try to balance it quite well.
MRM is an important part of our project management. It guides and informs decision-making at each step of the project. So from project planning to implementation, and then to project review, and finally to planning next phase. For example, now we are planning the next phase. I will tell you a little bit about the goal of our project, and then to relate it to how the MRM helps us achieve this goal, or at least track the progress towards achieving this goal. The DEMOS project supports municipalities to improve governance and services for their citizens. The project does not directly support municipalities to provide better services, but rather seeks to incentivize them to improve their performance. This is done through three main mechanisms. The first one is performance grant, which awards municipalities based on their performance. It is a financial incentive, but also public image incentive for municipalities. The second one is technical assistance for municipal officials, and the third one is policy interventions. By regularly collecting and analyzing information, we are able to determine what works, what doesn't work, what we need to improve or to adjust so that we achieve the intended results. For that, we have developed a comprehensive MRM system. There are three main ways how our MRM supports our goals. The first one is learning. For example, we need to know if technical assistance or trainings we provide to municipal officials help to improve municipal performance or governance processes. If so, we want to know to what extent. If not, why not? Or do we need to change the approach in training provision? Recently, for example, we conducted an analysis which led to some adaptations in the approach we use for trainings. We also need to know if and to what extent the grant we provide to municipalities incentivizes municipal performance. And again, to what extent. We need to know if the grant incentivizes municipalities to change their behavior. We also need to know what matters, why municipalities pay attention to the grant if they do so. Is the financial reward, for example, that matters? Is something else? Recently, we also did an analysis related to this question, and it showed us that the most important factor why municipalities pay attention to the performance grant is electoral concerns. Mayors, for example, they want to show to their electorate that they are good performance. So this is something we learned through analyzing data and information from our MRM system. Also there, we had to adapt a little bit our approach to adapt and to reflect this new learning. We also learned that we actually don't know much about other drivers of behavior of municipalities. So we are currently analyzing this too. Learnings are useful not only to use in the existing phase and to adapt, but also for project review and planning of the next phase. The second way how our MRM helps our project management is steering. We collect data through our MRM. We are able then to to track progress, to assess results, and to take decisions which are well-informed, evidence-based decisions. And the last one is accountability to donors, partners, and beneficiaries. We use our MRM system to report, to share information, to discuss results, challenges, and learnings with project donors, with partners, and municipalities and other beneficiaries.
And as you may know, and everybody knows, that development projects are becoming more and more complex. Developing a certain sector or helping and facilitating the development of a country is a complex task. And the people that are implementing the interventions and programs, they struggle every day in operational tasks, and networking, or other management tasks that they have to fulfill. And I don't think that they really have the time to do monitoring or to do monitoring in what we may call state-of-art monitoring, or being near to that situation. And it's important to have some people to back up on that thing. At Helvetas, we are very, very lucky because we have a setup that enables not only the people working in the operational task and in the management task to have a monitoring backup, but the same projects to have a backup, because we have different layers of backstopping when it comes to MRM. So I am the MRM of the RISI project. I have a regional backstopper, and we have the headquarters, and we build on that, going from the project to the region and globally to the overall areas where Helvetas works. Now, when it comes to monitoring, it's about data. It's about having quantitative data. It's having qualitative data. And my job is to make sure that intervention managers, or the people that have the task of implementing interventions, to have simple guides, so to make simple what can be complex, to collect this data, and then together with them to have the tools to synthesize that, aggregate and synthesize those data into information, and then from that information to build knowledge. And that knowledge is important, because as much strong is that knowledge, as much strong is our capability to be reactive and reflexive about what is coming from the environment. So to steer in what have been, in what is the situation, to get the best impact possible. And we can be accountable with that knowledge, because we can state that the results we have are solid, and we can make advocacy, because we can impact the environment directly, but also indirectly. Well, if we have the knowledge to say people that, and the evidence to back that making certain intervention or getting a certain business model makes you grow, makes your environment grow, your system become better, that helps people to do better. And actually that influence is advocacy. We can help business partners, we can have public institutions to make the right decision. And I would emphasize advocacy as an important outcome of the monitoring system. And then the last thing, but not less important, monitoring helps teams to build together, to bond together, because there are some reflection moments created by the monitoring and result measurement system, which make the team come together, reflect on results obtained, reflect on the strategy that have been executing, see everything was okay, or if there is something to improve. So that discussion, that healthy discussion, I would say, that really makes the team stronger and makes the team bond together. So MRM system is important for these 5 things I pointed out. So it's for knowledge, it's for steering, for accountability, for team building, the last one I said, and most important also for advocacy. So all what we know should serve to the whole system.
With me are Nikola Babic, who is a regional coordinator for Eastern Europe and a senior advisor for market systems development approach at Helvetas, and Muammer Nikšić, who is a monitoring and results measurement manager at the regional program Reconomy, as well as the coordinator of the MRM Regional Knowledge Group at Helvetas. Nikola, I'd like to start with you. Many people in the development community label you as an MRM geek. You have both the theoretical knowledge and also the experience on national and international level in relation to MRM in practice. Now that you have also listened to the MRM specialists from the Western Balkans, including Moldova, what are some of your reflections?
My main reflection is actually that most of them mention MRM as a management tool, and which is the most important thing. And I think that one of the biggest issue with the name MRM is actually it's very misleading, and it leads people into monitoring and measuring results. And actually MRM approach came as the opposite of M&E approach. M&E approach is a retroactive approach, which is based on that the project is doing monitoring, while at some point some external evaluator will come and see effect of the intervention or project. MRM is completely opposite. It's actually proactive approach and mainly the approach for planning, steering, and at the end reporting. And so this is a trap for many people in MRM, that they become only reporters, and then actually we are coming to the issue which was announced also by some of the people, that sometimes MRM activities could be really bureaucratic, and then they don't bring the value for the investment. So, and this leads me actually to the second point I wanted to emphasize here is that there's some part of the system of MRM system, and MRM system is actually really important planning and steering system of each project, which helps the project to think about what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve, and actually over time to adjust. This is also was emphasized by most of them, and it's really important. So part of this is must. So the documents must exist. So some kind of plan must exist, but the level of details is actually determined by the capacities of the project. In case that the project doesn't have a lot of capacities, it shouldn't spend all the capacity only on planning. Actually, the most important is implementation, of course. But so the level of details should be adjusted, and maybe the main criteria should be, if something provides the value for the investment, then keep it in. If some activities are just don't provide you the decent value for that investment of time, money, whatever, in that case, probably you should avoid it. So, maybe the final point would be that actually this is the system of planning, management system, and at the end, we are actually reporting according to results you're measuring here. But the main reason why we are collecting this data is actually to confirm assumption or to learn and to adapt. And MRM approach is actually the basic of adaptive management. So it's completely not just reporting tool, it's a management, it's a core management tool.
What are your recommendations for development projects out there so that they can make the best use of the MRM system?
We heard from them, all of them understand MRM approach quite well. And I have just one recommendation, which is like for just keep all the parts of the system which are providing the value for the team and exclude those who are not providing the value for the team. And your system then will be actually right size. Even someone actually mentioned this right side, but don't go to some guideline to see about what should be done for right. Maybe you can consult them for ideas, but actually the main criteria is if something doesn't provide the value for you, then keep it out. And if something provides value for you from the perspective of the steering, planning, and at the end reporting, then you should exclude
it. You have extensive experience in terms of MRM in the region, Muammer. You are also the coordinator of the MRM Regional Knowledge Group at Helvetas. Why is it important for regional projects like Reconomy to have a strong MRM system?
Yeah, it is very important when we are talking about Reconomy program. It is really important to have a strong MRM system since the program is very complex comparing to our other projects which are focused only on a single country. In case of Reconomy, the program covers 12 countries in 3 regions. So, and we currently have 3 implementing partners which are directly working with market actors in those countries. And besides that, we have interventions that are directly managed by the program facilitation unit. So to describe the complexity in terms of actors with whom we work, I will tell you that we have on the top of that structure the donor to whom we report. We have a program facilitation unit responsible for managing all the operations of the program. And we have implementing partners who are working directly in the field with market actors. And we have market actors and other beneficiaries as part of the overall chain. So having a strong MRM system in the case of Reconomy is important because of several things, but this is not limited to only these points that I will mention. So we need to make sure that everything we report is really due to our interventions and due to our influence, not more, not less. Reporting is not the most important segment, but still it is important. Since we need to know that out of all the progress made by a certain market actor, we need to know how much of that is due to our support. Also, we need to make proper management decisions based on what has been done and how it went. We need to learn from our experience and share it with others. We need to know what works and what doesn't work and document that properly so others will not make the same mistakes as we did. And finally, we have to continuously improve our approach in order to be more effective.
What, according to you, are the additional challenges that may arise in terms of the MRM when working in a complex project like Reconomy?
It is maybe too early to identify really specific challenges, but maybe there are a few points I would like to mention regarding your question. So in general, managing the MRM system of the Reconomy is a very challenging task. As you know, we intervene in dynamic markets where there are numerous influencing factors besides our interventions. And this adds to complexity of results measurement and identifying our share in that. So we have to make right questions to right people at the right time in order to get the right information that we need and put it in our system. Then we work with different types of market actors, such as training providers, job matching providers, business and financial services providers, associations, where each of these have their own specifics and priorities in which we have to fit. So the amount of information that we will gather from these market actors, managing such data and extracting findings will also be challenging. There will be little one-size-fits-all recommendations coming out of the system, but there will definitely be a great amount of knowledge with different market actors from different countries. So that's why Reconomy is very important to us and maybe to development community in general.
As you may see, MRM is not only about monitoring and results measurement. It comes into surface in all stages of the project management cycle. It supports the project in analyzing different target systems, in identifying entry points for potential interventions, in designing, reviewing, and adapting strategies, and of course, in monitoring and measuring results. Thank you for watching another round of Inclusive Plug powered by Reconomy. This was Sabine, a communication manager at Reconomy, a program of the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, implemented by Helvetas in 12 countries in Eastern Europe, South Caucasus, and the Western Balkans. Thank you for tuning in, and see you soon.